at this point is Arthur Mayer. Is that individual here? If you would, sir, please come forward, state your full name for the record, and then who you're here representing, and then please begin your testimony. All right, gentlemen, there's information that was handed out to the committee, and,
yes,
and we
correct.
have it before us, so please proceed, sir.
Yes, my name is Arthur Mayer, and I'm here representing myself as a concerned citizen. And Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I thank you for holding this important discussion on asset forfeiture. I just wanted to relate to you that I was at the Republican Party convention that just took place in Dallas, and from the 9th to the 14th. And during the preliminary work that took place at the convention, you have your temporary platform committee and subcommittees, and then it's presented to the general session, and then you have a permanent platform type meeting where you have public testimony from delegates. Only delegates that are there to the convention are allowed to speak. During the temporary platform committee, asset forfeiture came up a lot of times. It came up so much that the committee that was assigned to that particular issue had it labeled as a priority issue for legislation to take place concerning it. And the issue of one speaker come up and talked about, well, we shouldn't make it a legislative priority because it's an interim charge by the lieutenant governor, which y'all are speaking to today. And so the next speaker that came up said that, he said, the interim charge by the lieutenant governor is a charge to tinker and try to see what needs to be done to fix it and the many abuses that stem from this legislation. He adamantly stated that this legislation does not need to be tinkered with, but abolished, which I agree with that 100%. And I might add that 8,000 delegates at their public convention agreed with that statement too. It's plank 161, which during this Republican Party convention, every member got to vote. We were given a scan card, and every plank on the convention, every person, every delegate was there that was seated, was able to vote. And 8,000 plus delegates, actually it was 8,032 voted for this language. Property search and seizure without due process. We need to reinstate the rights embodied in the Fourth Amendment that have been rendered null and void by activist courts and government overreach. We urge the legislature to abolish asset forfeiture and to ensure private property only be forfeited on a criminal conviction. The language is clear, and 95% voted for that. I'd like to urge this committee to end this evil practice and restore faith and respect to our law enforcement community. You know, it's kind of a situation where you have people come up here and say, I have investigated myself and I find myself innocent. But by the own admission of some of the sheriffs here, there are abuses. By the admission of many public think tank groups, they also have enumerated many abuses of asset forfeiture, that people are unfairly and unduly harmed by that. And for the Department of Public Safety came in here and said, well, nothing is seized or whatever unless there's a crime or a charge against that person. Well, in June of 2015, two Hispanic youth were driving in the Panhandle, and they were stopped for a traffic violation, and they had $35,000 in their vehicle, and so there was no drugs, no crime, so they charged them with money laundering. Now then, I'd like to ask everybody here, Most money laundering charges are done by federal agencies, usually against banks and banking institutions, and it takes years to develop a case that are prosecuted, but I never hear of too many bankers going to jail myself. Maybe y'all do, but I've never heard too many of them. But so a trooper is able to sit there, and there's no crime. These boys have only been stopped by some traffic violation, and he's able to determine right then that that's money laundering. Now, I really think that that's kind of insane myself. There should be due process, be a judge and a jury, and a crime should be committed before that type of action takes place. And this has been going on a long time. I personally think it needs to stop. 8,000 delegates thinks it needs to stop. And I urge you again to do something about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for being here. Members, Representative Canales.
The story you're talking about, the two Hispanic gentlemen, that money that was just recently, just for the sake of comment, the Washington Post had an article where in Oklahoma they seized $53,000 from a Christian band.
Right.
I don't know if you got to read that. Did you ever see that?
Yes, I've seen that article. I have that article. And I follow these stories myself. I have a personal interest. I'm an activist against the war on drugs personally. Asset forfeiture is just one of the tentacles of that octopus called the war on drugs. And there's another thing I'd like to mention. I'd like to bring this point out. And that is this. We have index crimes that the Unified Crime Reporting that's operated by the Texas Department of Public Safety. We have 7 serious index crimes. That's murder, robbery, rape, aggravated assault, vehicle theft, and they have a clearance rate of 20% for those crimes. We have $1.9 billion stolen in this state every year, and the police department's only recovered $403 million. I think that's a damn good business to make $1.5 billion in a year in criminal activity. But we got time to take people's property from them without a crime being committed. Pulling somebody over and say, I smell pot or something, and then going in and they've got some money and they've confiscated it. And there's no way that person can get that money back in a reasonable way without costing him a lot of money. It makes me mad. It makes me mad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the fact that you've made the trip here and your patience for allowing us to hear your testimony. Thank you, sir.